I'm Jeff. Welcome to Backyard Country Living here in eastern North Carolina. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon, about 80 degrees. I figured it would be a good day to do a one-year review on our Kioti CK3510 SE HST. I've had this tractor a year now, this past week, so I wanted to kind of go over how we made a decision on getting this particular model and some of the things I like about the tractor, maybe some of the things that I would have different if possible. But just an overall review. It's been a great tractor. I love this tractor. We've just in a year's time got a lot of use out of it, doing things that I never had a tractor before this with a loader. Been around tractors all my life, but more of the farming agricultural style tractors. Still have a couple of those. Probably did a year's worth of research trying to decide which model. Just so many different makes and models out there. A lot of good tractors. Looking at different reviews, different YouTube videos to get a lot of feedback to decide which tractor I wanted to go with. Had a dealer that was local to us, about 30 minutes away, so that was part of the decision. And just a lot of good reviews, and for the value on the Kioti, thought that was the right choice. And so far, I'd have to agree that we made the right choice on this particular tractor. Looking at, obviously you can't get a tractor made in the USA this size anymore. We all know that. Not even if you get a green one. They're all produced in other places, and maybe some assembled in the US. But anyway, enough with that. Just do an overall walk around and show you the things that we got with the tractor. Some of the things that I've added, that are nice little adds that work for me. Maybe not for everybody, but some of the things I wanted to add to go with it. Anyway, all right. So we'll get started up here at the front. So up front here, of course, this has the skid steer quick attach loader, which I love. That is a really nice feature. I'd never had anything previously with a loader. I love the fact that it's just so easy to take an attachment on and off. When we got the tractor, of course it came with a bucket. I think a 66-inch bucket. We purchased a grapple, 5-foot grapple, dual cylinder, and also a set of pallet forks, as you can see that we have on here today. I debated on the pallet forks. First I said I'm going to get them, then I said no, I won't use pallet forks. I just don't see where I'll get a lot of use out of them, but I decided to go with it. Reading some feedback on YouTube and comments, on different tractor groups and stuff. I'll be honest with you, the pallet forks stay on the tractor more than anything else. It's probably the most useful tool we have on the front of the tractor. It's just not only lifting up something with a pallet, which we don't really have a lot of things on pallets, but just lifting up a little pile of logs or pile of lumber, pulling a fence post out of the ground with a chain wrapped around one of the bars. There's just a lot of uses you can get out of the pallet forks, more than you would think. These particular ones are made by Express Steel. It is USA made. I think they come out of Indiana, and this is a heavy duty. I think they're rated at about 3,000 pounds, which is well beyond the capacity of the loader, and these are 48-inch. So very nice heavy set of pallet forks. The grapple we got, I think, is made by Construction Attachments, also made in the USA here in North Carolina. Dual cylinder. I'll show that maybe in another upcoming video. But it's a very heavy duty grapple, and we've got a lot of use out of it, and performed well. And then I will say on the bucket, I did purchase the BX expanded Piranha tooth bar, and that was definitely a game changer, installing that on the bucket. It just makes it where when you're digging a top layer off, especially if it's dirt that's a little bit hard or whatever, or if you're clearing brush and you're just trying to push stuff over, small little sapling trees or whatever, it'll just grab them and rip them right out of the ground. So that is definitely a well invested item if any of you are looking at adding some kind of tooth bar to the front of your bucket. Very, very well. Getting on a little more close here on the front of the tractor. This grill guard, I built this cage myself out of some metal I had around the house and did a little welding. I'm not a professional welder, but I thought it turned out pretty decent. I built it in two sections. You got a lower and an upper section, and just drilled some holes and bolted it on. you know, that's one thing that I would say. If you know, all these manufacturers, I don't see any of these manufacturers offering from the factory any kind of guard that fills, you know, that fills this frame here. To me, that would be a nice option. There's a lot of guys making a lot of nice ones out there, and I may eventually upgrade to one of those. They're probably more heavy duty than this. But if you're doing a lot of brush work, cleanup with your grapple and things like that, it's not a matter. It's just a matter of time before something's going to go through here and into your grill, and then, you know, it's not going to take a whole lot to punch a hole through that, get to the radiator. So you could be talking thousands of dollars in repairs. So it's my advice: do something right here to protect this if you're doing a lot of brush work, because something's going to sneak through there. So down here I did have the third function installed from the dealer. I would highly recommend that. I think this is a WR Lawn kit. I would definitely recommend that if you got something that's such as a grapple that's going to require a third function. I've seen some guys, you know, talking about possibly trying to use their rear hydraulics to work, you know, grapple or something like that. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. Obviously, you're going to have to run hoses all the way to the back of the tractor, and then to me, it's just going to be a bit awkward to operate that grapple or whatever from the you know, levers for the rear hydraulics. It's so easy with the button on the joystick. This one has I'll show you in a bit, a rocker switch. It is super easy to operate the grapple from that third function, so I would definitely recommend that. So down here on this tube that most all the loaders have, this one's not as large as I've seen on some of the other tractors. This is about a 2-inch tube here. I did buy some of these plumber's plugs, and you can see if you loosen this and pull it out, I did take advantage. This is like a piece of 2-inch PVC, you know, cut half of it out, you know, just for extra tool storage. I've got a set of metric wrenches in here, a couple of extra components there to go with a blower I've got on the back. So just general storage. You can never have enough toolbox space on a tractor. So, and then you just tighten that down, and then it, you know, kind of expands that rubber gasket there, and it, you know, holds it pretty secure. So this loader does have a level indicator, which is a nice feature, so you can tell, you know, when your bucket or your forks or whatever are level, and that is good. Sometimes, you know, some people cut this off or make a mark, because it's not necessarily, depending on what you have on there, that the end of this rod is going to be level with the tube, so you may have to make a mark in some cases or whatever. We did have a little problem with that early on. We were doing some cleanup with the grapple, and not sure exactly what caused it or whatever, but it did seem like when the grapple was rolled to the extreme downward position, I don't know that the tube came out, or that the rod came out of the tube, but somehow it snagged and it actually started to bend the tube, or bend the rod, should I say, as it tried to go back in the tube. Fortunately, we caught it and we were able to straighten it back out. And so I would say definitely, every time I grease a loader, I'll shoot some you know, lubricant in this tube here. Maybe it was just where I haven't not lubed it early on. But anyway, that's just something to look out for, or maybe just kind of be careful if you roll it to the extreme and this thing is, you know, you're getting close to coming out of there when you roll it extreme. But just a minor thing. Grease fittings. Next thing I want to talk about is the grease fittings on the loader. So the loader has lots of grease fittings, which in my mind is a good thing. I think they recommend you grease it about every 10 hours, which I've tried to stick by that. I believe there's, just on the loader itself, 8 on each side. So I did have a little problem in reading some of the reviews early on. This was pointed out that you could possibly have a problem, you know, with these bolts. I don't know if this is sort of like a retainer guard around the grease fitting, or I don't know exactly what you call that piece, but these bolts on some of the lower ones did start to work their way out within the first 10 hours, you know, of using the tractor. So I definitely saw that as an issue early on. I'm not sure, maybe it's the quality of the lock nuts that lock washers that they use. But anyway, I got a little bottle of blue Loctite. I took each one of these 8 on each side out. I put a drop of the blue Loctite on it, put it back in. Now we're at 96 hours. I have not had one even think about coming loose. So I would say, you know, I just went ahead and took care of that to, you know, before I lost something right from the beginning. So anyway, moving down here just below the front axle, wanted to show you a little item that I added that might come in handy. There's a little plug right here, and it was definitely a little tricky to fish it out of. There's not many openings coming out from under the hood, but it's just a little plug that goes to a clip-on cable for the battery. This is for, we don't use the tractor extreme amount in the winter time, so this is for like a solar maintainer, that it's mounted on the wall of the shelter that we keep it under. So when we're not using it, we just plug that maintainer in just to keep the battery fresh and make the battery last longer, and don't have to worry about coming out. It's got a little cap that I keep over there to keep dirt and everything out. But that's worked out good so far. I have not had any issue, as some people have suggested, with any of the wheel lugs coming loose. I did put the markings on there with a paint marker, just to, as again, every 10 hours when I grease the loader, I try to check these things. Have not had any issues with wheel lugs coming loose or any of the other loader frame bolts or anything like that. Here's another option that I saw on YouTube that I definitely have enjoyed: the saw haul. Bolts right on the frame there. That's a handy item. Pop your chainsaw right in there. Go out to cut up a tree or a limb that's fell down or anything like that. It's definitely a nice thing to have. The mirrors came as an option, on the SE model. And they're okay. I was more worried in the beginning about hitting something and breaking them, and it's still a concern. But I haven't had a problem so far. You can fold them in if needed. I definitely they're handy. It's not a necessity, but they are handy. Here's a little item that I added right here just recently. This is like a piece of 4-inch PVC pipe, this plumbing pipe. Bolted it onto the little arm here just to keep chains. I got a strap in there, stuff like that, just so it's not laying on the floor and all around your feet, or a chance of falling off and getting lost or whatever. Coming around to the operator station here on the instrument panel, I added a couple little things, just a little cheap clock and a little temperature humidity gauge there that just some cheap stuff I picked up and put on there with like some two-sided tape with Velcro or whatever. Just be nice if that was incorporated into the instrument panel, but that might be asking a bit much. Of course, it has the turn signals, the horn, your light control here. This lever here is for the linked pedal, which if you guys have got this tractor know that that basically when you turn that on, it links your forward or reverse pedal to the throttle. So as you press down on the forward or reverse, it adds to the throttle, just basically like your accelerator in a car. I haven't used that a lot. It is a nice feature when doing loader work, but I've been more upon the thought of where everybody recommends that you keep the RPMs up, less stuff with the regens and everything. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but so anyway, I haven't used that a lot. I just more keep the RPMs up 1800, 2000 when working, just to keep the engine at a steady pace. Of course, you got your tilt wheel here. I did add a little suicide knob on the steering wheel here. That is a nice feature. That's, you guys that have never had one of those, I'd suggest that. It is it makes steering just a breeze. So let's look down below the seat and talk about the four-wheel drive engagement here. That's one of the things that I found out early on as I was putting it in four-wheel drive. I noticed there was no light on the display on the dash to let you know you were in four-wheel drive. And I was like, surely that there's got to be some kind of indicator. When you turn on the PTO, when you put on the parking brake, you've got indicators that tell you all that stuff. So. But anyway, from what I found out, the instrument panel apparently is a common panel that Kioti uses on several of their tractors. And after putting some questions out there on a tractor group, I found out that that is not a working feature on this tractor to anywhere display that the four-wheel drive is engaged. So I thought about it for a bit, and I was like, it's no big deal, but it sure would be nice. I mean, you got the little pictures down here to show you, but still. You can even bump this and be in four-wheel drive and not really know it. So, so I started thinking about a way to give me a visual on that. So I went down below where this lever ties into the gearbox, and I mounted what's called a paddle switch. It's just a little switch that's got an arm on it, you know, that moves up or down and makes and breaks the switch. And I found a convenient place to mount that so that this lever would engage that paddle, and it would push the paddle down when you put it in four-wheel drive, and then once you pull the lever back up, then the paddle would release. So having figured that out, I believe it was Googled, it went on Amazon or somewhere, and found a 12-volt four-wheel drive pilot light. So up on the dash here, this was a blank insert on the dash right here from the factory. So I was able to install the light right here. Picked up the same wiring, that connection that's available at the back there. Ran it through the switch and up to the light. So now, to show you how that works, so if I turn on the ignition just to the on position, you don't necessarily have to start the tractor. You see, we are currently not in four-wheel drive. The lever is up. So if I push down on that, now you will see that the four-wheel drive is lit up. So it's just an indicator letting you know that you are currently in four-wheel drive. If I pull it back up, you see the light goes out. So it's just simple. It was a little tricky to get under there and mount it, but it works. It works great. You know, some people might say, you know, you don't really need that, but it's just something I wanted to do. And you know, to me, if they can make the light come on for the PTO and for the park and brake, that should be an option as an SE model. But you know, no big deal. Made it work. So down below the seat here, you also have your lever here for the rear differential lock, which I really haven't even had a need to use that at this point. But anyway, that's what that's for. This little knob right here is for your 3-point lift as far as the speed in which that operates. I really haven't had to adjust that as well. This is your gear selection for your low, medium, or high range. Of course, as you know, this is a hydrostatic, which I definitely love the hydrostatic. We'll talk a little more about that when we get around to the other side where the pedals are. But yeah, this just selects your range for your gearing. I will say one thing that I have learned with the hydrostatic tractor. Didn't have, the tractors I've always driven, like I say, were more of the ag type. We're just a geared tractor. There are differences, some little things that you have to learn with the hydrostatic stuff. Like at times it can be a little bit difficult to go from one gear to another, from some low to medium or whatever. And I think that's got something to do with if you're on a hill or the hydraulic pressure that may be against the transmission at that time. Usually if I just rock forward or backwards with the hydrostatic pedals just a little bit here or there, and then it shifts with no problem. So don't sit there and try to force it if it won't shift. Make a little movement, do something. Same thing with the four-wheel drive. Sometimes it is difficult to get it to disengage from four-wheel drive. I've even read stuff and seen stuff where people have bent the lever. Don't go to that extreme. Rock the pedals back and forth a little bit with mild pressure, it'll come out of four-wheel drive. Or here's another thing I actually read in the tractor forum. Use your front loader, whether you've got the bucket, whatever on there. If you're having trouble getting it out of four-wheel drive, every time I've done this, it's worked flawlessly, is use the loader, drop it down to just gently raise the front wheels off the ground. It immediately comes out with one finger. You can move it. So there's just a couple of little things that that I guess are just byproducts of having a hydrostatic transmission. So the seat cover here, that is actually a seat cover I got for Christmas. It's actually for the other orange tractor, but adapted it, made it work. Maybe not the best one, but it looks okay and it serves the purpose. So that was my main goal on that. As you can see, this is an open station model. We did get it with a canopy, which I have on my other tractor as well. I've just always been an open station kind of person. Just like to be out in the air. Obviously, if you're bush hogging or something like that, it definitely need a mask on, because it's definitely not good to breathe in the dust. But I just like to be able to hear, if something's going wrong. If you hear a noise from a mower or the engine. But that definitely helps block out the sun. One thing also that I did add was the LEDs that you see here on each side, because I don't know if you've noticed that if you're doing anything at night at all and you've got something on the front attachment, pallet forks, loader, bucket, whatever, the front headlights basically are useless unless you raise the loader way up and get it out of the way. You know, the whatever you got on the front blocks the front headlights. So it's definitely nice to have, and I did not drill into the ROPS here. I had some brackets. I utilized some existing holes that were already there to mount those, and I'll show you once we get on the other side. I have a little separate switch. Didn't drill into the dash on those. I had a separate switch with an existing hole that I could mount to put the switch for that. Let's talk a little bit about the tires. I believe these are the R4 tires. I can definitely say they're not the best tire in the sand and they're not the best tire in the mud. I think that they are maybe thicker sidewalls or whatever. I think that they are the best tire if you're doing a lot of heavy lifting and loader work, which is mostly what we're doing. I probably use this tractor 85–90% for the loader, 15% or so for the 3-point attachments. I did get the rear tires loaded from the dealer. I would definitely recommend that if you're going to be doing a lot of loader work. Lift capacity I think is like 1,835 pounds. It depends on this loader. In my mind, for this size tractor, it's a awesome lift capacity. And I've lifted some things that are heavy. If you did not have these rear tires loaded, as well as some rear ballast, you're going to lift the back wheels off the ground. So I would definitely recommend that. And it helps you also when you're out in the sand or whatever. Having a little weight will help you, get better traction. So moving on around to the rear of the tractor, and this might be a good time to explain all that noise you've been hearing since we started the video. So over here behind the fence, we have Pearl, the white, and then Gus is the tan, the pygmy goats, who we've had for a little over a year now, close to a year and a half almost, and they definitely like attention, as you can tell. So, and over in the other pasture there, we have a couple more, Nettie and Hattie. They're, I believe, Nigerian dwarf goats. But anyway, we'll meet those in a later video. But getting back to the tractor, so this box blade I already had, put that on there for some additional rear ballast. Added a couple of things to it, as you can see. I've got just a carry-all rack here with ammo box just for storage of extra pins and tools, whatever. As I say, more storage the better for me. And this carry-all, sometimes I'll use that like if I'm going out to cut up a tree or whatever. I got the chainsaw and the saw haul. I'll put my box back here with my bar, oil, gas, chainsaw tools, whatever, an axe, whatever, just whatever you need to carry to go do your project. You might notice that under this carry-all is a big orange toolbox, and you might be saying, well, how are you going to get the tools out if you got the carry-all bolted on top? Well, that is not for tools. That is bolted to the frame of the box blade, and that is for additional ballast. That's full of bricks. So I think I figured up it was close to 200 additional pounds that added. So anyway, so if I'm doing a lot of loader work, I've got this implement on the back of the tractor, just because I think it gives me the most for my money when it comes to the rear ballast. And it is, it's attached pretty tight. I bolted it, through the frame there, and I've got a couple braces up front here that keep it pretty secure. Looking here at the back, here is the rear work light I added. For those of you that have this tractor, there are some connections right here from the factory that give you access to the 12 volts, and it does run through the master switch. So I added a little small rear work light here. There's a bracket already there. I did purchase a hydraulic top link. I do like that. That is a nice, especially if you're doing grading work with a box blade or land lever or whatever you may have. That is a nice thing to have, that you can just move that lever and change the angle without having to get down and turn the old style one. That's definitely a nice feature. The original toolbox is right here, the little tiny one that Kioti gives you, which is, I've seen most of the tractors, they don't give you a whole lot in the way of a nice toolbox. I bought this bigger one from Lowe's and put it on the original bracket. I moved this one. There was just 2 convenient brackets there, a couple of bolts and washers bolted it on. Most I just keep gloves and a hat, just mostly garment type stuff in there, extra stuff that I might need. So this is a little bit bigger toolbox here that I bought from Lowe's. Right up here I did add what appears to be gun racks, and that's actually what it is. That's not what I use it for. There again, I was able to utilize the same bracket that I bolted for the lights. I use that if I'm going to go out and work remotely somewhere, and I need a shovel, a rake, a pole saw, whatever. Pop it right in the bracket there. I got a couple extra straps I keep to secure it. Makes a nice way to carry that longer tool that you don't want to put it back here and it fall off or get caught up in under something. Just secure it right across there. Works great. Moving on up here, I have got this little guy right here I got from Lowe's, Craftsman, 20 volt. Works great. Fits right in that slot there. If you're doing bush hogging, you want to blow off the front grill, blow off the tractor, whatever. Just a little handy item that I added that fits right in that slot there. Works well in that slot. I did add a fire extinguisher right there. Utilize the little bracket that was already there with a strap. I think that's definitely a wise thing to have on your tractor. You never know when something could spark and catch on fire, and you definitely want to be able to try to get it out as quick as possible. Looking at the accessories over on this side, of course here are your rear hydraulics. This one here operates the hydraulic top link, and then of course this one's more for permanent flow to something else, if you had something like a log splitter or some other implement. I haven't actually used this one or attached anything to this one as of yet, but and then of course here is your lever for your 3-point. PTO engagement electronic, I do like that. I definitely like, you have the button right here that is the auto manual PTO. We did recently purchase a tiller, and you can see I have it in the auto position right now, and I do like that. As you pick the implement up, especially with something like a tiller with a short shaft, you don't want to run it when with that short shaft, you don't want to run it when you're picking it up too high, so it automatically shuts off, and then when you lower it back down to engage back in the ground, it comes back on automatically. So I do like that feature. Of course, here's the loader joystick. I definitely like it being here versus some I've seen that it's actually forward on the loader itself. That may work, but I like it here. To me, it's got to be less tiring on the arm. And right here on the side is the third function, the little rocker switch right here. Super easy to operate. Down here, this is a loader lock. So if you're trying to lock the hydraulics, make sure nobody comes by and bumps this when you're doing something. Of course, you definitely don't want to never be under the loader, whether this is locked or not. I say you want to stay away from that loader. You never know what can happen under there. And this one other button I forgot to mention earlier right here, that's a cruise control. Now I do use that a lot. I definitely like that little one on the left here. You get your hydrostatic to a certain position, you hit that button, it's a magnet type thing that engages down below, and that way you don't have to keep your foot on the forward or reverse pedal. It stays at that speed. Here are the hydrostatic pedals right here. I love that. They are super easy to work. Man, I was upon the thought early on that I wanted a geared, maybe a shuttle shift. But when I started talking to my dealer, and he's like, well, if you're going to be using it for the loader, you want the hydrostatic. And he was 100% correct. It is so easy. You just put it in your range, which most of the time if you're doing heavy loader work, you're going to have it in low range. And you just hit the forward or reverse. I mean, you barely have to use the brake, which is right here, because basically it kind of brakes itself when you take your foot off the pedals. Still not so sure I like the brake on the right side. I guess they were doing it for convenience. You got everything right there together. But I don't know. I might would have still preferred the brake on the other side, but it's no big deal either way. It's like I say, barely use the brake. Of course, here's your parking brake lever to engage your parking brake. Right up here, your hazards, of course, and then right here's your regen button. If you want to manually, take it into regen, which I have not done. So I've got 96 hours now, and I've had 3 regens. So far, it has been flawless. I think I had the first one around, it was a little less than 30 hours maybe. The other one maybe mid 50s. So they've been somewhere close to 25 to 30 hours apart. Each time that I've had one, I've continued to work. I think the manual tells you to keep the RPMs up. I mean, you can tell when it's coming on. The engine will change tune, and then a few seconds later you'll see the light come on the dash. So I just continue. I think they want you to keep it 1800 or more RPMs. I continue to work. Last one I timed it 12 minutes, and then it went right back to normal operation. No problems whatsoever so far with the regen. One thing I forgot to mention earlier when we were talking about the seat cover here, I'll go ahead and confess I did bypass the seat safety switch. There's a switch, I can't remember, but maybe it was on Amazon that you can order. I don't know, maybe it's the wrong thing to do, but there are a lot of times that you actually need to stand up, like for instance right now with the pallet forks on there. It's almost impossible to see over that hood to see if you're lined up to get under a pallet or whatever without standing up to see the end of those forks. And obviously you can't do that if you got a seat safety switch. So I did get around that. So far it's hasn't caused me any issues or anything like that. So right here are of course the all the quick connects for the loader, and I have not taken the loader off of this, by the way. Probably never will. But from what I've seen, it's very easy to do if you wanted to do that. Of course, here's the third function valve here with these 2 connections, and here are the other connections for the loader. I did have a problem with this inside, I believe this red hydraulic hose right here early on. Every time after using a little bit, I'd see a little puddle of hydraulic fluid on this plate down here, and it was coming from this connection right here. So I disconnected it, cleaned it out, thought it's got to be a piece of trash or something. Did that 2 or 3 times with no luck. So then I got an O-ring. I said, I'll just put a new O-ring in there. That'll fix it. I think the leak got worse. So I could, it wasn't still warranty. I could have took it back to the dealer, but I just went up Tractor Supply, bought a new male and female, changed the female first, plugged it back on, hasn't leaked since. And that was, I don't know, that was probably somewhere in the first 20-25 hours. So it was just, I think it was just a defective female connector. Maybe it was just a little out of round or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, no problems with that since. Oh, and by the way, this is James. He likes to hang out and sleep in the tractor seat. He guards from mice getting around the tractor. So thank you for that, James. So wrapping it up here now, a couple little other things I did right here where these hydraulic hoses cross over the corner here. I added a little extra piece of rubber around there just for protection, just something minor I thought would help out. So to go ahead and wrap this video up, just want to say this has been a great tractor. Even though I pointed out a few things that I would have differed if possible, I still, if I had to go back today and start all over and purchase it, this is still the tractor that I would get. It has performed well. It is, in my mind, it's a beast for its size. It really is. Does do a lot more heavy-duty work than you might think. But anyway, apologize for being a little long. This was my first video, so just kind of trying to get used to it. Hopefully, I'll do some more videos in the future. I want to give a shout out to Mike at my Wild Coyote Adventures. I had mentioned to him on a comment that I might try it, and he encouraged me to to try to do my own videos. So anyway, I hope to do more in the future. Hopefully, leave a comment, click the like, give me a subscribe if possible. Hope to see you on the next one. Thanks.